Okay, I'm back working on the Mustang today. It's another cold day here in Connecticut, but I got it shoved outside. The light's a lot better, and I'm gonna start to cut this quarter panel off, and that's a pretty messy operation, so I'm gonna do that outside. You can see what I've started to do. I've made some preparations by marking out where I want to make the first cut. I drew a line around the edge of the quarter panel. You can see this black line or not. There you go. I figured the first cut that I would make, I would do it well inside of any of the flanges or other inner structure, because I'm not totally familiar with what the inner structure is behind this quarter panel. So I don't want to cut anything that's important that I want to leave, because I'm only replacing the outside skin. I'm not replacing all of the structure inside of the car. So what I did was I came around here, and you can see the light coming through these holes. I drilled some holes around this wheel housing, wheel tub, whatever it's called, so that when I was cutting on the outside, I would not cut that piece of metal for the wheel well. So all I did was drill some holes and then connect the dots with these lines. And now I'm going to take the cutoff wheel and start to cut it. I'm going to cut all the way around the wheel opening, then down here at the bottom, maybe about an inch above the bottom edge, and then I'm going to come up. I didn't draw a line up this side because that's pretty clear where I have to go. I'm going to make a cut right across this area in front of the sail panel, and then when you come around to the top here over on the trunk, I'm going to come down from here along this line and then come over. The quarter panel has, the replacement quarter panel has this gutter for the trunk on it, and it looks like it goes all the way up to this factory seam. So I'm going to cut a couple inches behind the factory seam at first, just so that I leave enough stuff on the car to work with when I put the new one on. Here's the replacement quarter panel. This one goes on the passenger side, obviously. So you can see, turn it towards the back. Got the full taillight extension on the back, the little flange up here. It's got this drop down piece and then a flange across the bottom. I'll bring the camera over closer and show you more detail what it's got. Going forward, it doesn't have these gills or whatever these things are. I took these off of the old car just to see how they fit. They need a little bit of tweaking to make them fit in there tight. But these don't come with the replacement quarter panel. Up at the top, you can see it has a flange that goes up underneath that sail panel at the back of the car that goes up to the roof. Let me bring the camera over and give you a closer look at what's going on around the edges of this thing, because I think that's what's important. You can see I got it hanging off the side of these sawhorses. So here's the front edge. This goes against the back end of the front door, and you can see that there's a flange on this that goes over and attaches to the flange on the car. Coming up along the top, this is where the rear vent window is. So this whole piece is on there, and there's also the return flange on the inside that hangs down about an inch. It's got holes poked in it for the little felt, the window felt that goes on there, or the weather strip. Here you can see the back side of the top edge of the quarter panel where it meets that big sail panel that goes up to the roof. So here's a closer look at that thing. It's got a couple of holes in there that I imagine you can use to, those are probably for the chrome trim if you have a vinyl top car. Coming around on the top, it's got a flange here that goes down underneath the rear window. And then coming back this way, you can see it's got that diagonal cut on it right here that matches the joint on the car for the gutter that goes around the trunk. And now you have the taillight extension here that comes down all the way to the bottom edge, and then there's this sort of, you know, closure piece off the side of the trunk at the bottom. And on the inside here you can see that that flange goes all the way down, and then it returns horizontally, and then it goes again vertical back on that other edge. Alright, this is probably a little safer angle to show you the back end of that thing on the inside. Here's the top again. Right here, that's the trunk drip rail. Comes along the back. And this would be the bottom, inside of the trunk. And you can see there's a flange. This thing comes up. There's a flange, and then it goes down again, and then there's another horizontal flange. Kind of like a very, is it like a Z shape or something? And that curls around into this lip at the wheel well opening. And then this is the bottom edge. This flange goes on top of the rocker panel, right below the rear vent window. And those are the mounting brackets for those decorative pieces. You know, they look like little scoops or brake vent duct openings or something, but they're really just decorative pieces that go in that hole. Alright, so let's get over and start cutting this old one off of the car and see what's underneath the quarter panel. Okay, I'm going to start grinding this quarter panel off, cutting it off. I have a cut-off wheel on the angle grinder here. Make sure you're wearing your eye protection and your ear protection. I'm going to start at the bottom and go all the way around the bottom first. That way the quarter panel skin is still being held on at the top. It won't fall off when I'm trying to cut it. And I'll cut the top off at the end. So let's get started. All that dust is from the filler on the car. There's not any smoke from the cutting wheel. There's a lot of body filler on this quarter panel, which is one of the reasons why we're taking it off. So you shouldn't expect that normally. Alright, I've completed the initial cut, so now I'm going to try and take the panel off. Holding on by a couple of little pieces. Let me just cut those. Alright, this should be it this time. Alright, good. So, alright. I'll bring the camera over and give you a close-up. I was pretty successful at not cutting any of the substructure on the car that I did not want to cut. Alright, so here we are at the back end, and you can see what I was trying to avoid was cutting that inner wheel housing, and I was pretty successful. I got about as close to it right here as you could get. Kind of nicked it a little bit but didn't cut through it, so that's fine. We can fix any of that looks like it would need to be fixed, but I don't see anything that was cut through. Just a couple scratches. I don't think that's a big deal. Coming along down here at the bottom, actually got about as close to that rocker panel edge as I wanted to, and then coming up here, you can see where I got stuck, and I'm actually kind of glad that I decided just to cut straight across here and not go down through the top of that quarter panel flange, because I didn't realize that this piece was in here. So luckily I didn't cut that either. So that's why, you know, in the beginning you always want to go slow and take your time. When I get to the other side, you know, I now know what this thing looks like. So there it is. The next step, of course, is going to be to cut off these remaining edges here around the wheel well and at the bottom and up the side, you know, on the back of this door closure piece. But now I have a much better view of what's inside, and I can see where the flanges overlap from the new quarter panel to the old one. So now I'll have a much better luck at getting those things off without damaging anything. All right, it's getting really cold out here, so I think that's a wrap for today. Next time we'll do some more cutting. Thanks for watching.